Welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is an in-depth character review of Wedge Antillies. He is a light side attacker rebel. Now, he is one of the coolest leaders in the game, and he has some very cool uniques and basics. We're going to go through all of his attacks and abilities, but this is going to be a fun review. He is, for the sake of this video, max star, max level, max gear with 4 slots for future development from the characters. We're going to go over his attacks and abilities here in just a second. His base power starts at about 7282. With mods, I've gotten him over 8,000. His base speed is about 110, so he's kind of on the slower side, but he does have a way to fix his own speed. And he's around 13,600 health to start out, so he's just a little bit, initially, a little bit squishy. As far as that goes. Now, I did mention his gearing is gear 10 at the beginning of this, and I will tell you that he is one of the worst characters in the game to gear, both him and Biggs. They know that the two together are a massive force to be reckoned with, so the two of them gearing is horrible. Now, you can't show Wedge without showing Biggs, so this video will showcase Biggs a little, but I will do a separate in-depth character review on Biggs himself, as he deserves his own in-depth character review, that is for sure. So his gearing is 5 raid gear parts. There's only 6 as the highest, and he does 5, so it's one of the worst gearing characters in the game for raid gear. And then as far as gearing with purple pieces, he's 930, which is again one of the worst in the game. Anytime you're over 900, that is just atrocious, takes forever. So gearing him is going to take a while, and he's going to be a slow and long and arduous grind, but I will assure you he is worth it. My overall galaxy rating is 5. Now, that is not because I am being partial. I have a galaxy rating system I use on all characters where they get rated on 7 different categories, and he was one of the highest top 10 rated characters through my algorithm that I created, scoring algorithm that I created. So he is going to be short-term and long-term usable in almost every area of the game. I've seen him used very much in the raids. I've seen him used a lot in the arena. I've seen him used a ton in Galactic War. He's usable on Rebel events. He's usable in the Rebel mod challenge. Anywhere there's a section in the game where he can be usable, light side battles, he's usable. And the only drawback to him is his gearing. His gearing's atrocious. Other than that, everything else about him's amazing. Now, he has a galaxy rating of 5, which means you want to get your hands on him as soon as possible. You're going to need to find him in Battle 6F. You can farm him as much as you want here. By the way, as soon as you get to 12 Cantina Energy battles and above, your drop rate for the Mark III, the purple ability material, goes up significantly. I get probably between 4 to 8 of the Mark III ability materials each and every day just through doing my Cantina battles, but these higher ones definitely have a higher drop rate of the purple versus the lower level ones. Now, you're going to have to be level 68 to 73, somewhere in that ballpark. Someone who's played for 2 to 3 months, and you're in that 68 to 73 total, level, and you're going to have a pretty amazing team for that level to unlock this particular node, because it is on 6F, which is a couple nodes after the B2 battle droid. So this is a mid to end game character, but I do recommend prioritizing him and getting him as soon as possible. The other thing is his cohort Biggs is very, very easy to farm. You can get him in the Galactic War shipments, and so you can farm him basically as fast as any character in the game, or the fastest of any character in the game. And plus Biggs is a great standalone character. He does phenomenally well as an assist helper, kind of like Geonosian Soldier. So he would be somebody I would highly recommend as well. But anyway, this is about Wedge, so this is where you're going to find Wedge. Let's go ahead and go through his attacks and abilities. Focused Fire. Now, Focused Fire is great. It is a very powerful basic, and if he had no other abilities in the entire game, he would be a great damage dealer on your team regardless. He hits kind of like the First Order TIE Pilot or like Rey's basic. He hits for anywhere from 8 to 25,000 on his basic, and he does, of course, boost that on his own. through some of his abilities. So this is going to deal physical damage to an enemy and inflict defense down until Wedge's next turn, till the end of it. So it's giving him a chance to basically apply the defense down to a target and then be able to subsequently hit him another time on the next turn and be able to do 50% more damage, because those characters that have that defense down, provided that they don't take that debuff away, are going to take 50% more damage. Now, I do recommend you Omega this ability. This will be the first ability on him I would Omega, as it does 15% more damage, and 15% more damage of a lot of damage is a lot more damage. Definitely you want to Omega this ability. His focused fire is also really, really, really great if used strategically. Now, I've seen some gameplay out there where people are using his basic and they're shooting one character his first turn, and then the next turn they're shooting another character, and don't do that. Be very strategic. He shoots a character such as a tank, and he applies defense down. Now everybody who hits that tank is going to do mad damage in that round, and then the next turn, before the defense down goes away, he can hit subsequently for 50% more damage. So this is an amazing way to cut like a knife through a tank. So if you've got a Royal Guard, or you've got, Stormtrooper Han on the other side, don't stress. If you have Wedge on the team, his basic is going to put defense down on them, and then everybody's going to do more damage because their defense is down, and he's going to do 50% more damage the next time you target them. So just like it's called focused fire, focus your fire. Make sure you're using his abilities strategically, okay? I don't know if a lot of people realize that, but you definitely want to make sure that his potencies is bumped a little bit, so that way he applies that defense down, because this is an amazing way to take tanks out of the game. Now, his Red Squadron Strike is his special ability. With it Omega, his cooldown will be 3. And in arena battle, that really won't matter, but in every other area of the game, it does. So I would highly recommend you do this cooldown next, and make sure that you have it reset to 3 on the cooldown. But it deals physical damage to all enemies, and it's going to deal 50% more damage to Empire enemies, or enemies with 50% more or health or more. And so I would highly recommend getting him to be able to go first. Now, that is not... or second. I'd have Biggs go first, because Biggs can literally eliminate an entire character on the other side of the board. But you definitely want him fast, because you want him to be able to do this AoE and do mass damage to the other side. This is going to take a lot of shields, or a lot of the protection out. And it's just really, really, really fun to watch this come down. It's awesome. Now, his leadership ability is a great leadership ability, and he is an amazing leader in every area of the game. Rebel allies have plus 30% offense and recover 15% of their max health and 10% turn meter on a critical hit. Now, if your team is a critical hitting team, such as mine, pretty much everybody's critting almost 100% of the time. And so they're gaining max health and gaining turn meter, so he's speeding up your team, and he's healing your team, and he's making them punch much harder when they crit, because they got plus 30% offense. Now, they also recover 25% of their max health whenever they defeat an enemy, so that is great as well. Now, I do use a Lando lead, because Lando gives everybody 15 speed, which is slightly better than the 10% turn meter on a critical hit, because it's guaranteed and it's 15 speed. But Lando gives 29% critical damage, which is good, but not on any day of any week will 29% critical damage be better than 30% offense. 30% offense applies to base stat damage, not on critical damage, and so it's going to apply regardless of whether they're critting or not. Plus, it makes their critical hits significantly more by having plus 30% offense. That's 30% more offense is way better all day, every day than Lando. So it's really tough to figure out which one you want to use. But for the speed aspect of it, I went with Lando. However, if I'm going to do Galactic War, I use Wedge as my leader all day, every day, because he's going to self-heal my team. All the characters on the team, every time we eliminate one of the people across the board, we're going to get 25% health boost. So that's going to help rebound them, especially in the end part of Galactic War, when we're starting to go against some really difficult teams. This is a great way of not having to have a healer on your team, because he's going to basically be the healer for your team. Now, he is one of the few characters that has basically 2 leadership abilities, but his second leadership ability is considered a unique. It's called Red Leader, and it is awesome, but it does only apply to him and Biggs. So you definitely, to max this out, want him and Biggs in here. Now, I've read in a bunch of places, as well as a lot of theory crafters have already done the math, and from what I understand, this applies to every character on your team, including himself and defeated allies. Now, it doesn't say himself, but it says everyone else on the team, but it's because it says for each ally. But I've been told that this adds 30 or 60 speed on these characters. And so plus 6 speed if each ally has full health. And if anyone doesn't have full health, he gets plus 12 speed. So he gets a boost of anywhere from 30 to 60 on his speed. That is a great speed boost automatically. And if Biggs Darklighter's present, he also gains these bonuses. Plus, they both will get 12% offense. So he just gave everybody 30% offense. Now he's giving another 12% offense to these two guys. So now they got a boost of, if he's the leader, of 42% offense. That makes him a very, very, very potent hitter. He's going to hit for a lot, and that is absolutely amazing. And him and Biggs together are a powerhouse of a team. So Red Leader, you definitely want to Omega this because it adds speed to both the 6 speed, it goes up to 9 speed, and then the 12 speed goes up to 15 speed. So pretty crazy abilities. You can really max this out and get it him and Biggs really, 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 really fast. Now, I would suggest having Biggs faster than Wedge because you can take an entire character out with the Biggs combination hit, and so I would have him slightly slower. Let's go ahead and go into how I've modded him. Now, I did mention that he needs critical damage, critical chance, and potency, although potency falls, and speed, although potency falls a little bit on the lower level, and he needs protection too because he's got to be boosted. So we know he's a little squishy and a little slow, so we got to make him more durable and faster, but we also need to make sure we're giving him a high crit chance, high crit damage, and we want to make sure that we do all of this in these 6 slots. So on the top left, the transmitter is going to always be a primary stat of offense, but it does give him some more protection, defense, and the rest of the secondary stats are really nothing to write home about. The middle left damage processor is going to be defense as the primary stat, but it did have 2 times protection, the 2.87% protection as well as 720% protection. It also added critical chance and potency. So all of those secondary stats are needed by him. He needs the protection, he needs critical chance, and he needs potency. The bottom left, the data bus, is also awesome because it gives him protection, which is really going to make him less squishy. And look at all those secondary stats. They are all necessary for him. It raises his critical chance, raises his potency, raises his speed, raises his protection. So that is awesome as well. I did give him a speed in here. You could do speed or accuracy, but I still, again, speed is more important in my opinion. So I'd recommend dropping speed in here. His secondary stats are nothing to write home about, but there is a little protection and potency. The middle right could be critical chance or damage on him. Now, when I run him with a Lando lead, Lando gives him another 29% critical damage. So I went ahead and went with critical chance to counter that. So that way Lando gives him one thing and he's taking the benefits of the other. Plus it puts his critical chance over 60%. Anytime you have a character doing critical damage, you really want to get their critical chance north of 60% or above, and it's going to be consistently working. Anything below 60% and it's going to be inconsistent at best. But his secondary stats, a little bit of speed, some more protection, so not too bad. And then the bottom right, I could put this as potency, and honestly, if I had a critical chance potency mod, that's a possibility that this would have been that. However, I did not have that, and so what's the next best thing? Make him less squishy. So I went ahead and went with protection, 23.5%, and then of course his secondary stats on this are nothing to write home about. But I do have 2 set bonuses, of course, the 5% critical chance, which is something, not bad, and then plus 30% critical damage. With this combined with the other 29% from Lando, that's almost 60% critical damage increase, which is excellent. Now let's go ahead and look at his stats to see where he's at. His overall strength and intelligence is average, his agility is high. His health is right around where it maxes out at almost 15,000, but his protection, I was able to almost double with those 2 mods, so that is great. Plus, I was able to subsequently add 44 speed. Now, that is not fast at all, but it puts him at least at an average speed of tunes, because once you have tunes that are modded, you know, they're all running between 150 and 250 now. That's kind of the new normal with mods. And so you really got to get them in above 150 for them to even be viable in their turns, to get them to go consistently the same amount as the team across from you. So I got him over 150, but I really would like him to be somewhere in the ballpark of 180 to 200 for sure. His critical damage is 180, but of course with Lando lead, it's going to be over 200. His potency is almost 41%. Not bad. I would really prefer his potency at 60%, and so at some point I would like to drop his protection mod off and add that potency mod when I find one, so that way his potency is over the 60% threshold, because he does apply on his basic that defense down, and that is really, really important, that defense down, for the purpose especially for taking out harder targets. It's going to make them take more damage, as well as it's going to cause him to do 50% more damage on his basic. So definitely the potency should be a little bit higher. There are some opportunities with any character you own, of course. Tenacity is okay, not really anything to write home about. He does have 15% health steal, which is about average. That means every time he hits a character, he is going to get 15% of that health back. You know he does a lot of damage, and so his health steal for him is very valuable for sure. His physical damage is really good. It's above average. And his physical critical chance, I was able to get it above 60%. You really want it north of 60% for sure. He's got, for a non-tank, decent armor. He actually has a over 26% armor rate, which is great because obviously you don't want him to die. So he's going to reduce that damage he's taking. And then of course resistance is around 14%. Again, nothing to write home about. But so that's Wedge. You see all of his attacks and abilities, how I modded him, how bad he is to gear, where to find him. Let's go ahead and take him on a test drive. I'm actually going to change my team in the arena and have him as the leader, so that way the team can have his perks as leader, which is again that 30% offense, and then the recovery of turn meter and health on critical hits. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go into the arena and let's pick just this particular team right here. I'm going to swap out my tank. Oops, I left Lando in. I guess we can do a couple of these, right? Well, anyway, we'll do it with Lando lead since I subsequently left him in the lead. But we'll go ahead and taunt, do our Lando AoE. Now, this is Biggs. You can go ahead and basically effectively figure out someone you want to kill. So let's do Ray. He's going to call in an assist with Wedge and one other person. And even with one of the dodges, it still took her out. Now, of course, here is his red Squadron Strike. He gets to use it every 3 turns if I Omega this, but every 4 turns if not. And there's only one Empire character over there, so you don't have to target that character. It's just fun to target people because it's an AoE, it hits everyone. And you saw the health gain. He gained over 1,000 health, although he doesn't need it. I'm going to go ahead and take away the taunt, so that way we can take away these other characters. Geonosian Soldiers, probably their biggest hitters, so we'll just do a basic. And now we're going to do Wedge's basic. So I want to show you this. This is focused fire. This will put defense down if it applies. It didn't apply that time, but it did do over 7,000 damage. I really want it to apply the defense down so you can see. Let's go ahead and triple shot him. Now here is his basic again. Let's see. Oh, it did apply defense down when he did that triple hit. So you can see he applied defense down. And now he's going to do 50% more damage to this tank, which is the exact character you're going to want to shoot anyway because he has it. And he did over 14,000. Let's take away the taunt again. And now we can come back and focus on the characters who do more damage. He still has defense down, which is great because he shot his basic. So we'll go ahead and use a triple shot on him. Puts defense down on him. So now 2 characters have defense down. So that's excellent. Also, they called in my Sun Fac, who hit him with critical chance down. And here's his hit. BAP, 20 18,736. Again, that's an excellent shot. Let's take away those buffs. Biggs hits him. Why not? Let's smack him. Didn't do much damage. And we'll do basics. We'll just have fun with this. Basic shots. Take away that evasion. B2 is an awesome character to go against Obi-Wan. I did that one. Whap! There's 10,000. That wasn't bad. Plus it put defense down, so now he's vulnerable. And let's finish him with style. Let's hit him with Biggs, Wedge, and one other person. There you go. Wedge ended up getting the final hit at over 18,000 on that hit. So I can get him to do more damage if I'd like, but I've got him modded in a way that he crits consistently, and that's what I'm looking for, is consistently critting. And so let's go ahead and let's do this middle one. I just want to, it's a Yoda, or it's a Jedi team. That's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and switch these guys out because I wanted to change leadership to show you him as a leader real quick. I'm going to play through this one a little bit faster. Fast Yoda, but that's not a big deal. This is excellent. Let's go ahead and get a taunt up. Now I have 2 taunters. So even if Qui-Gon on the other side dispels one of the taunters. And let's go ahead and take out their Anakin. There we go. See how much damage they do. It's crazy how much damage they do together. Let's go ahead and take out Yoda. Whap. That was like almost 9,000. And here we go. Let's see how much damage he does on Qui-Gon. Oh, he dodged. And it's not even an Obi-Wan lead. And that's what Stormtrooper Han is there for. He's there to absorb everything. If you look, the rest of my team is in great shape. Let's go ahead and take out Aayla Secura. She's great counter. This probably won't work because he dodges. Do a basic. Take away his evasion. Increase. Of course, he gave it to himself. And let's finish this off. There we go. So he makes an excellent leader, or he makes an excellent teammate with a team that has another leader. As always, we have tons of videos you can check out in my playlist section. So if you want to see other character reviews and whatnot, if you want to learn more about my page or how to support me more than just watching, liking, and sharing these videos, you can always go to my About screen on my YouTube page and read more. I would love for a few people to partner with me so we can continue to bring more and exclusive content out there for people to enjoy. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.